President Trump is suspending all U.S. foreign assistance programs for 90 days pending reviews to make sure they are aligned with American interests and values. The executive order was one among many signed yesterday, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio will be responsible for evaluating foreign aid programs.
What is this? Withdrawing from the World Health Organization, sir?
Ooh, that's a big one. So we paid $500 million to World Health when I terminated. We were paying $500 million. It seemed a little unfair to me. So that wasn't the reason, but I dropped out.
Hi guys, welcome to yet another video. Again, as I say all the time, the world is intertwined and whatever happens in the US affects what happens in other countries. So basically the USA decided to withdraw on their aid that they've been giving African countries. With that in hand, or that happening, a lot of Africans are giving their opinions on this, and I kind of like what they are saying. I'm kind of shocked that this is how Africans are thinking about this situation. I didn't expect it, but I think it's very good that, my people are coming out of their shells to say the truth of how they really feel about the US doing this. But yeah guys, watch these clips, come back, and let me know your thoughts on it as well.
We have depended on US aid for over 60 years, and the moment the owners of the money say, let's take a 90-day pause that I audit where my money is going, suddenly the whole country goes into a frenzy. And this should be a moment of reflection for Uganda and the African continent in general. We have been asking for a very long time to be liberated from colonialism, neo-colonialism, and now that the opportunity presents itself, for some reason, we are complaining. Because let's get something straight. Often the money given to us in foreign aid is lost to corruption, misuse, depleted and overrated salaries to particular individuals, or sometimes we lose billions of money that are unaccounted for. So it only makes sense that the donor is asking for an edit, and if that means pausing the amount of money coming in, they should. And I do understand the implications of this pause because so many heavily funded healthcare projects run on US aid, but that should be a moment of reflection. This is just a 90-day pause. What would happen if the United States just said, we're not giving you money anymore? And within their rights, they can't do that because it is their money. It's high time Uganda and the African continent got themselves together and actually started looking for systems that are sustainable and not always depend on foreign aid, because we are struggling with debt. On top of that, we have constant aid, which doesn't necessarily help us to have a more independent system. Instead of writing paragraphs of why this is a bad move, we should essentially realize that, we are actually in a bad situation and we cannot always depend on aid because it can go any day. African nations should wake up. Uganda should wake up, because this is not even funny.
And the reason we should worry across Africa and in Kenya specifically is that our governments have left the HIV programs to be predominantly externally funded. Where is Kenya going to get the leeway to actually bring in $30 billion if they struggle with a gap of $1.5 billion already right now? So I would say that is not possible, which means that it's actually going to have a huge impact on provision of testing, because this money also buys the test kits, provision of ARVs to the people living with HIV, and also to ensuring that they are sustained on treatment. A withdrawal of PEPFAR would withdraw 40 billion shillings a year, which worries me, because now if that ends cold turkey or suddenly, where is Kenya going to get 40 billion Kenya shillings a year to actually address the HIV program? My honest view is that reproductive health is the country's first social investment, and that cannot be left to neighbors or friends. Because when you think about reproductive health, you're talking about the country's socio-economic development.
Trump did very well not to invite African presidents for the inauguration. What are you going to do over there when we can't even afford bread? You want to fly, you want to eat, you want to sleep in expensive hotels. With whose money? Taxpayers' money. What are the taxpayers going through? Hell. There are no jobs. People are getting retrenched. People are not being paid well, but you want to go live soft life in America. Oh yeah, listen. African presidents are always going to beg in America. Beggars, begging, begging, begging. Now Trump has cancelled African aid. This is the best news I've heard. We have everything in Africa, but we are still beggars. Houses they've been buying over there, the bank accounts they've been opening over there, stealing money from Africa, going to... See? That's at the bank account. Repatriate all that. Mr. President, you are doing well. You see, for Africa. But please talk to Mark Zuckerberg. You see, Mark Zuckerberg is using my Facebook page to advertise American businesses, but is not paying me for it. Just because I'm in a country where I don't know monetizations, but you are using my page to advertise people's businesses. Mark Zuckerberg, please, I'm in Botswana. Botswana is in Southern Africa. Please, you can see already we are struggling. Don't add more struggling on the already struggling. Fear God. Africans, hii ni mda wetu. Kama hatuchukui hii mda, haitakuja tena.
South Africa needs to pick a struggle. So it came out in one of the executive orders issued by the new president of America, Donald Trump, that he is putting all foreign aid aside for a review of 90 days to make sure that the countries that are receiving their aid are aligned to America's foreign policy, which I think is relatively fair. Now, some of the people that are complaining are the recipients of PEPFAR. PEPFAR is the United States President's relief for AIDS, etc., etc. This was launched in 2003 by George Bush, along with his wife, Laura Bush, and it was aimed to help a lot of people around the world with the HIV virus infection. And $110 billion was set aside for this. Now, currently, PEPFAR is responsible for about 21 million people in 55 countries that are receiving antiretroviral treatment, ARVs. On top of that, they also give out pre-exposure prophylaxis, that's PrEP, which is to prevent HIV, to about 2.5 million people. And last year in 2024, PEPFAR tested 84 million people. The bulk of these are in sub-Saharan Africa. In the South African case, we've got about 5.6 million people that are HIV positive who are receiving ARVs. These ARVs, however, come from the South African government. But what PEPFAR does is that it offers a lot of aid and it pays some of the staff in the ARV programs, medical circumcision, some of the information that's sent out to people out there. And many South Africans are complaining about what Donald Trump saying they'll put 90 days on ice of PEPFAR will do to impact South Africa. A lot of the funding for HIV, AIDS, TB research in South Africa is also funded by America as such. Now, South Africans need to pick a struggle, right? And I'm speaking about the South African government. I'm speaking about South African voices in politics, in the economy, social activists, etc. If South Africans are going to want to bash America when it comes to the economy, how they bully other nations and the like, and if they're not going to like Donald Trump and call him names, then it is only fair that America should say, well, you guys don't like us. You guys call us names. You guys sort of seem to favor BRICS more than us. We don't see why we should be helping you. And South Africans should rightly say, okay, since you guys don't want to work with us, a couple of things will happen from our side. Number one, we'll hopefully get replacements from BRICS nations to cover the gap. In the same way Donald Trump removed the United States from the World Health Organization, China said they will come in and add to that funding. So South Africa can go to China, to Russia, to Brazil, to India and say, look, America's pulling out in terms of this aid. Can you help us? Because we're leaning more towards BRICS, if that's the move. Secondly, South Africa can say, look, if we don't really like the United States anymore, we're moving away from the West, then maybe sanction some of the American businesses. There's, of course, going to be a backlash. But again, you can lean to BRICS nations, very importantly. The other thing is there are many American companies in South Africa that make a lot of money here and that pay taxes. Now, if it weren't for government corruption, those taxes should be used very fairly to help the South African people. As I said, the 5.6 million South Africans who are on ARV treatment are funded by the South African government. But maybe the staff in some of the programs and some of the other work can also come from the South African government because there are American companies making money here, which they send to America, but also paying taxes here, which are collected by our government. My main thing is this, because I've seen on Twitter, X, that a lot of people are complaining, what Donald Trump is doing is bad, the South African government. You guys need to make up your minds. Do you want sovereignty for South Africa? Do you want us to have our own views and our own politics? Because if you don't, then stop voting. Let's say we don't vote, we wait for America to vote, and then whatever America decides, we'll go along with it because clearly we are their subsidiary. If we want to have our own sovereignty, we must then set the rules and have our limitations on how we want to engage, whether it's with America, the United Kingdom, Europe, China, India, Asia, etc. We need to decide if we want to be a sovereign nation or if we want to rely and be beggars to America, Europe, maybe even the Asia countries and the BRICS countries in general. Is that what we want? And how do we treat ourselves as serious players? This is something for people to think about, especially with new President Donald Trump coming in and shaking things up in America.
So Trump just put pause on aid in Africa. And I must say, there are some people who are seriously affected. People who are relying on this aid for medication, for food, and the likes. And my heart really goes out to them. However, guys, we are crying about ARVs right now and other medication and food right now. But we can't even stand on our own 2 feet with regards to things such as ARVs. I think this is an opportunity for us as Africans to actually take our positions, right, and put that begging ball away and start finding our own solutions, because we can't, guys. We can't be saying and crying about ARVs, basic medication, and saying that we need you, then that's how we end up being manipulated. So it's quite sad that things have come to this. However, we need to be able to stand on our own 2 feet as Africans. Man, we've got all these resources, we've got all these things, but we still need to beg for ARVs. We still need to beg for medication. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. But guys, let me know what you think. And again, my heart goes out to those affected. Cheers, bye-bye.
Guys, one thing for sure, if we try to look at this in a different perspective, you're going to see that maybe somehow Trump doing or saying all these things is a blessing to Africa. Why? Because now we are going to be able to maybe look for solutions where we don't have to depend on a lot of USA. It's something that they really put into our system so much that we cannot somehow depend on ourselves, and we have really kind of put in our minds that it's actually impossible for us to depend on ourselves. So this man saying that, you know what, I am for my people right now, I don't care about any other nation, you take care of yourselves. I do not want to hear anything that you other countries have to say. And by the way, I'm tired of my people giving you money. I need accountability. It is a blessing to African countries, because why? You've heard what the Africans have said, even when it comes to that aid, that money, okay, some might be put in good use, but majority of the time, even when it comes to donations or foundations, that money does not even go to the right people. The corruption in Africa, the corruption that we have, it needs a person like Trump where he's you know what, it's time for you to, pick up your own bread. Pick up your own bread, feed your own people. If you want my assistance, I'm willing to give you, but let me know where the money I give you goes to. And maybe these African leaders that have these organizations that, use the excuse of we need help can stop and, start doing things that are better for the people, because we are tired. Like I said, I did not expect this kind of reaction from Africans, but it shows people are done. We are tired of seeing our leaders take the money from, these Western countries, put us in debt, make us pay taxes that don't even fix things in our countries. I usually tell you guys that even when our leaders, when they get sick, when they make money, when they steal money, they go to the USA, to the Western countries, and put their money there, okay? When they get sick, they go to the Western countries to seek medication. They can't do the bare minimum of, you know what, we get money from these white people, let us utilize it and do things that are better for our people. They never freaking do that. They've never freaking done that. So when I see this man, Trump, saying that he's done, it kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense. At the end of the day, it's the money that is coming from the American people, from Black Americans, from the other white people, from, other groups of people that they feel they are trying to make a change in the world. They feel like they are helping, but that money doesn't really do much. And for Africans, really, if we are always complaining, we are always on the internet crying, we are always we need colonization to stop and all that, how is it going to stop if we don't even allow these people to get away from our country? Because if this man wants to pull away, why would you be concerned? Okay, you might be, because some people are going to be affected, but in the long run, it is a blessing in disguise where now maybe our leaders in Africa can now look for real serious solutions, because they now understand they cannot beg anymore. We are tired as African people being seen as beggars, and our leaders are always showing how bad of beggars we are. Because if it is in that sense where even our politicians, our leaders are beggars, imagine how it is on the ground. So if they are getting limited and they are no longer going to receive this money to actually do whatever they want, because at the end of the day they still do not do what that money is supposed to do, we might as well just, you know, start caring for our country, and they should, because now they have no other way. They have no other way. This man Trump does not want to see you African people in his country, and he's doing this because I feel like he's forcing your leaders to do better for their people. It has to be done by force, because these people that we have in the continent are MFs. They are MFs, greedy, corrupt, selfish. They are everything selfish. That's the right word I can use. So I really like this. Actually, I do. And the reaction of Africans that they are giving, that, you know what? We can't even make our own medicine for HIV. Like, how? How is that even possible? How come, guys, we've let ourselves to reach this point where we can't even have our own medication to care for ourselves? Like, we have to depend on the US, and this is why they take advantage of us, because they know when they pull out from like these organizations and say, we need you to do this, we need you to do that, and you are dependent on them, they have every right to. We've allowed them, we've let them do that. So I really like, honestly, I like this for us. It's kind of sad. Like, some people are saying, you know, people are depending on this.
So I'm going to make this video under the assumption that you know what the World Health Organization is. It is a structure that has 194 member states. They focus basically on what health is globally. They combine resources, they combine protocols, they combine trials, and they tell you the cheapest, most efficient way to protect the health of your space, yabo. So they also give money to certain areas where they are needed, like in South Africa. So us, for example, we received between 2020 and 2021, we received 416 million-ish from the WHO. What the WHO does in our country, outside of strengthening the public health systems and giving us guidelines and resources and things like that, they also subsidize ARVs. They subsidize contraception. They subsidize programs that we use for looking after mothers and pregnancy and all of that stuff, right? 416 million. It is not technically a lot, because on health in general as a country, in 2023, we spent approximately 240 billion. Another issue with the US pulling out of the WHO, apart from being one of the biggest contributors, is that they also want to decrease how much aid they send across the world. The last time Donald Trump was in power, he went from giving our country approximately 8.5 billion, which is the normal rands that we get in US aid, towards ARVs, contraception, abortion, circumcision, HIV care, TB prevention, and nutrition, child nutrition, right? We went from giving us 8.4 billion to less than that, to about approximately 6.4 billion in rands. If he's pulling out of the WHO completely and pulling out of US aid completely, we have the potential of losing approximately 416 million minus 8.5 billion. That is a lot of money. That's why earlier when I started the video, I said to you guys, those of you who want to get long-form contraception, get it now before we start to feel the impacts of it. Those of you who want to test for HIV, make sure that you're on the most current regimen, check your viral load, whatever. All those things, do it now. All of those of you who are not circumcised, go to US aid agencies and get circumcised now. Because when the aid tap runs dry, I'm not saying we won't have anything, but I'm saying we're already in a place where they've decreased the health budget across the country. And now we're going to potentially lose US aid. WHO has to prioritize countries that are harder than us, that are having a harder time than us. So go and get your long-form contraception now. Close your knees, close your legs, protect your womb, and just, yeah, grin and bear. It's time now. this is how it affects us.
People are saying people are depending on this, they were getting, easy access to health and stuff like that. But it is a time now where we Africans need to stop victimizing ourselves. We need to stop letting colonization continue. We need to accept that it's time for us to do better for our countries, call out our leaders, call out these organizations in Africa to start doing things that matter for the African child, because if we don't, who will? But yeah guys, that is it for me in the video. I'm way over ranting about this. I shouldn't be happy about this actually. I shouldn't be happy about this. But I just can't help myself. I can't, because it's giving an opportunity of Africa to stand on its own and most probably be able to kick out colonization, because if we start managing our own things and doing things that are for us, no one will toss us around, if that makes sense. Guys, that is it for me in the video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Yeah, I'll see you in another video. Bye.